I walked out after my wife called me mediocre at her dad's birthday. So I took the job and left, packed a duffel and checked into a $70 motel, replied to the saved exciting opportunity email, pulled half our savings and changed banks, and moved states and got a clean split divorce. Welcome to AF Tales. Today's story is about a man getting publicly humiliated at a family birthday dinner, then walking out and taking the career move he once sacrificed for his marriage. As you listen, think about what you would do if your partner tore you down in front of everyone. I never thought a birthday dinner could end a marriage, but that's exactly what happened. My father-in-law was turning 65, so the whole family met at a local steakhouse. Nothing fancy. Dark wood panels, pictures of cattle on the walls, and about 20 people crammed around a long table passing bread baskets and talking over each other. I was trying to enjoy my meal when my brother-in-law started talking about his promotion. Everyone congratulated him, asked about the salary bump, the usual. Then someone looked at me and asked, "What about you? Still at the same place?" Before I could answer, my wife jumped in. "Oh, he's perfectly content where he is." "Aren't you?" There was something in her tone. It wasn't playful, it was sharp, like she wanted the whole table to hear it. I kept my voice neutral. "The job's fine. Pays the bills." Her sister, Judith, wouldn't let it drop. "Didn't you have some opportunity a while back? I remember you mentioned something." My wife laughed. Actually laughed. He turned it down, said it wasn't the right time. My jaw tightened. That wasn't the full story, and she knew it. It would have required relocating. We talked about it. We discussed it together. I said quietly, "It would have required relocating. We discussed it." My wife set down her fork like she was done pretending to be polite. "You mean I told you I wasn't moving and you agreed because you knew this relationship wouldn't survive long distance?" The table went quiet. People suddenly got very interested in their steaks. That moment right there is a red flag people ignore because it happens in public. When someone feels safe humiliating you in front of others, it usually means they've been thinking it in private for a while. "That's not fair," I said. "I chose us. I chose this marriage." "You chose the easy option," she snapped louder. "You were scared of change, scared of the challenge. Scared of proving yourself." My father-in-law tried to step in. "Maybe we should talk about something else." She ignored him. "You know what your problem is? You're comfortable being mediocre. You had a chance to actually do something with your career and you chickened out." I could feel everyone staring. My face went hot. I kept my voice steady anyway. "You made that decision for you, not for us." She pointed at me across the table. "You made it because you're terrified of being alone. You knew if you left, I wouldn't wait around. You couldn't handle that." The whole table fell silent. Even the waiter backed away like he didn't want to be near it. I opened my mouth and closed it. What was there to say? She had just told 20 people I was weak, that I was afraid, that I couldn't survive without her. Then she leaned back in her chair, arms crossed like she was satisfied. "If you want to leave, go ahead. Walk out that door. You'll come crawling back within weeks, maybe days." My mother-in-law gasped. "That's enough." My wife didn't even look at her. "I'm serious. He needs me more than I need him. We all know it. He knows it." At that point, what would you have done? Stayed quiet and tried to keep the peace, or stood up and protected your dignity? I stood up. My chair scraped the floor, loud in the silence. "Where are you going?" she asked, almost bored. I pulled out my wallet, threw down enough cash to cover my meal, and looked at my father-in-law. "Happy birthday." Then I walked out. Behind me, I heard her voice, "See, running away like always." I didn't turn around. I walked through the restaurant, past other diners, and out into the parking lot. My hands were shaking when I reached my truck, not from anger, from clarity. She really thought I needed her. She thought I was too weak, too scared, too comfortable to survive on my own. I started the engine and drove home. Our home for now. My phone started buzzing before I even got there, text after text. I didn't look. When I walked through the front door, I went straight to the bedroom, pulled out an old duffel bag, and started packing clothes, toiletries, and important documents. Not everything, just enough. The phone kept buzzing. Calls now, not just texts. I let it ring. 40 minutes later, I checked into a motel off the highway. Nothing special, but clean and cheap. $70 a night. I could manage that while I figured out my next move. I sat on the edge of the bed and finally checked my phone. 17 missed calls, dozens of messages. The first ones were angry. You're being childish. Come back right now. You're embarrassing yourself. Where are you? Answer your phone. Then they shifted into something that almost sounded concerned but still focused on control. This isn't funny anymore. We need to talk. I didn't respond. Instead, I scrolled through my email until I found the one I'd saved 8 months earlier. Subject line, exciting opportunity, still interested. I'd kept it. Maybe part of me knew this day would come. I opened it and read it slowly. Senior position. Different state. Better benefits. Room to move up. About a 40% salary increase. I turned it down because my wife didn't want to move, because she had her job, her friends, her family, because I believed marriage meant compromise. I believed sacrifice was the price of stability. And she had just told a room full of people I was too scared to make it on my own. So I opened the email and hit reply. I typed from that motel bed with my laptop on my knees. Mr. Baxter, I hope this message finds you well. I know it's been several months since we last spoke about the position. If the opportunity is still available, I'd like to express my serious interest in moving forward. My circumstances have changed and I'm now in a position to relocate. Please let me know if we can discuss this further. Then I hit send before I could talk myself out of it. My phone buzzed again. Another call from my wife. I declined it. Then a text. You're acting insane. Come home so we can talk like adults. I turned my phone off and tried to sleep. Morning came too early. I turned my phone back on and found 23 new messages. Her family had joined in. Judith, what's going on? She's really upset. Her mother, you two need to work this out. Her brother, man, just come back. You're making this worse. Nobody asked if I was okay. Nobody questioned what she said to me at dinner. Nobody said that was wrong. That tells you a lot about the environment you're dealing with. Some families don't care about truth. They care about keeping the story comfortable for themselves. I deleted the messages without responding. At 6 a.m., I got an email from Mr. Baxter. Great to hear from you. The position was filled, but we have an even better opportunity that just opened up. Are you available for a call this morning? I called at 8 sharp. After 20 minutes, Baxter said, I'll be honest. We were disappointed when you turned us down. You were our top choice. But this new role is actually a step up. Team lead, more responsibility, more money. 52% increase from your current salary. I did the math in my head. It was life-changing. When would you need me to start? I asked. 2 to 3 weeks. If you need time to relocate, 2 weeks works. Excellent, I said. HR will send over paperwork today. Welcome aboard. When I hung up, I sat there for a minute and let it sink in. I just accepted a job in another state, just like that. Then my phone rang again. My wife. This time I answered. Where are you? She asked. Her tone was annoyed, not worried. Doesn't matter, I said. You need to come home. We need to talk about last night. Nothing to talk about, I said. You embarrassed me in front of your whole family. I embarrassed you, she insisted. You made a scene. I almost laughed. Mission accomplished, I said. I accepted a job. I'm moving in 2 weeks. Liar, she said. You can't just leave. We have a lease, bills, commitments. I'll pay my half of this month's rent, I said. After that, you're on your own. Her voice hardened. You're really doing this over one argument. It wasn't one argument, I said. It was you finally saying out loud what you've been thinking for months, maybe years. Then go, she said. You won't last 2 months out there by yourself. Guess we'll find out, I said and hung up. The next 2 days were logistics. I went to the bank and withdrew half of our savings. It wasn't much, about $3,000, but it was mine. I opened a new account at a different bank and moved my direct deposit. I wasn't going to keep my paycheck tied to someone who had already decided I was mediocre. I went to the house when I knew she'd be at work. I packed more clothes, my laptop, a few books, and important paperwork. Then I left my key on the kitchen counter. At some point she texted an address. We need to talk in person. I'm not doing this over the phone. I ignored it. On day 3, she found the motel. I was walking back from coffee when I saw her car in the parking lot. She was standing by my door with her arms crossed. "How did you find me?" I asked. "I checked every cheap motel within 10 miles, she said. Wasn't that hard? I unlocked the door but didn't invite her in. "What do you want?" She looked at me like I was being unreasonable. "Understand what's happening. You're throwing away 5 years over one bad night." "One bad night," I repeated. I shook my head. "That was when you finally said out loud what you've been thinking all along. You meant every word." She tried softer. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said those things. Come home. We can work on this." "There's nothing to work on," I said. "I'm leaving in 11 days. Her eyes narrowed. "You're serious about the job?" "Yes, what about us?" "There is no us," I said. "Not anymore." Her face hardened again. "That job won't work out. You'll be miserable and alone. I won't be here when you realize you need me." That's a common move when someone loses control. They stop trying to fix things and start trying to scare you into staying. I went into the room and closed the door. She stood there for a minute, then she left. That night I got the email from HR, contract, benefits, relocation assistance. It was real. I signed it and sent it back. 10 days to go. My phone kept buzzing with messages from her family. I answered none of them. On day 7, I changed my number and gave the new one only to my current boss and HR at the new company. Silence felt good. On my last day at my old job, my supervisor looked at me like he was surprised. "You gave notice pretty suddenly." "Everything okay?" "Better than okay," I said. "New opportunity." He nodded. "You've always been solid here. They're lucky to have you." That simple sentence meant more than he knew. It was respect without a punchline. Saturday morning, I loaded my truck. Everything I owned fit in the bed and the back seat. I drove past our house one last time. Her car was in the driveway. I didn't stop. I drove about 300 miles to my new life. I made it in 5 hours. The new city was smaller than I expected. Not tiny, just manageable. Traffic moved. Parking wasn't a nightmare. On Sunday, I found the company building. Modern glass and steel, 5 stories, the Parks Industries logo out front. Monday morning, I walked in at 8. Baxter met me in the lobby. "Good to finally have you here," he said, shaking my hand. He showed me around. The place was clean, organized, and busy. People looked like they actually liked being there. He introduced me to my team of 6. At lunch, one guy named Lucas asked, "You find a place yet?" "Still in a hotel," I said. "Looking at apartments this week." Lucas nodded. "Places are expensive. I've got a spare room if you want. $300 a month, split utilities. Not fancy but cheap. Come by after work and check it out." I did. I moved in that weekend. I bought a used bed frame and mattress. I set my laptop on an old desk Lucas had in his garage. It wasn't much, but it was mine. No one keeping score, no one calling me mediocre, no one telling me I'd come crawling back. Work was good, better than good. My supervisor, Kelly, was direct and fair. When I did something right, she said so. When I made a mistake, she showed me how to fix it. "You're picking this up faster than most people," she told me. 2 weeks in, Baxter said, "You're doing well." 3 weeks in, I got my first paycheck and double-checked the numbers because it didn't feel real. After taxes and insurance, I was still taking home more than I made in a month at my old job. I paid Lucas rent, bought groceries, and still had money left. Actual savings. One night I turned on my old phone. 87 missed calls, over 200 text messages. The early ones were angry, then confused, then almost desperate. "You can't just disappear, we need to talk." Then her family again, pushing the same message, "Come back, fix it, stop making this uncomfortable." Not one of them said, "She shouldn't have humiliated you like that." The most recent message from 5 days earlier said, "I talked to a lawyer. If you want a divorce, fine, but we need to handle this properly." I turned the phone off and put it away. At work, things kept improving. After a month and a half, I was leading a small project. The team respected my decisions. We finished ahead of schedule. Kelly said, "That's rare." Lucas started pulling me into his social circle. One night he took me to a local bar where he played pool with friends. That's where I met Alexa. She worked in accounting at another company. Funny, sarcastic, and not impressed by anyone trying too hard. You moved here out of nowhere, she said. Needed a change. Leaving something behind or running toward something. Both, I said. We talked for a while. It felt normal. Nobody testing me. Nobody waiting for me to fail so they could feel superior. Later, Lucas said, Alexa likes you. I didn't know what to do with that information, so I just let it sit there. In a good way. A coworker connected me with a lawyer named Evans, and he filed the divorce petition. No kids, no major assets, mostly just splitting the little savings we had. Pretty simple case, Evans told me. Then he added she's contesting. Claims you abandoned the marriage and wants compensation for emotional distress. I laughed once. Of course. What do I actually owe her, I asked. Half of whatever you had in savings when you left. You already withdrew your half, so technically nothing. She might try to claim part of your new income, but that's a stretch since you earned it after separation. This is mostly noise. A few days later, messages started hitting my old number again. Her father, you need to handle this like a man. Her sister, she's struggling financially. Her brother, you're better than this. Still nothing about what she said at that dinner. Not one person acknowledging the moment she broke the marriage in public. I didn't respond. Then she somehow got my new number. You can't just erase 5 years. We built a life together. I'm not asking you to come back. Just help me with the transition. It was a guilt trip dressed up as a request. Lucas read the messages over my shoulder and shook his head. Classic. Evans called me. She's willing to settle. Wants 3 months of rent to help her adjust. No, I said. All right, Evans said. Clean split. No money changes hands, do it. She accepted. I signed 7 pages of legal language. The judge would finalize it within about 30 days, but in every real way that mattered, it was done. Evans said, congratulations. Weird thing to congratulate someone on, but I understood what he meant. I had my life back. That night I went back to Lucas's place. Friends, pizza, a game on TV, simple, no drama, no scorekeeping. My phone sat in a drawer, I ignored it. Work kept moving forward. 3 months in, Baxter called me into his office. We're expanding, he said. I want you to help build the team. He slid a paper across the desk, promotion offer, senior team lead. 18% increase, better benefits. I signed it right there. Life settled into a steady rhythm. I rented a small house, nothing fancy, but it had a yard and a garage. Space to breathe. Alexa and I dated casually, nothing rushed. She met my coworkers, I met her friends. It felt easy in a way my marriage never did. One night over dinner she asked, do you ever think about her? Sometimes, I said, not often. She nodded. Do you ever think about how different your life would be if you stayed? Or how grateful you are that you didn't? I thought about it and said, I'm glad I didn't. Months later, an unknown number messaged me. This is Judith. She's not doing well, lost her job, barely eating. I'm worried about her. For a second, part of me felt bad. 5 years isn't nothing. Then I remembered sitting at that dinner table while my wife called me weak in front of everyone and enjoyed it. I deleted the message. Not because I wanted her to suffer, but because I wasn't going to be pulled back into a system where I was the one expected to absorb all the damage. Evans called later with final paperwork. Good news. She accepted the terms. Clean split. No money exchanged. Need your signature. I met him, signed, and it was final. A year after I left, I was sitting on my back porch with a beer watching the sun go down. Lucas and Alexa were coming over for dinner. I had just finished a major project at work. My phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. Hello. Is this you? He asked. It's your ex's fiancé. I got your number from your old boss. I paused. Okay. He continued, I owe you an apology. I heard what she said at that dinner. I never believed it. I should have said something then. She's doing better now, got a new job. She tells me you're doing well too. Good, I said. He took a breath. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. Apology accepted, I said. That was all I needed. I appreciated the call, but I didn't want anything more. That chapter was closed. Later that night, we grilled burgers, drank a little too much, and argued about which movie to watch. Normal stuff. Good stuff. A year later, I threw away my old phone. I didn't need reminders of who I used to be. I had a job I loved, a relationship that felt genuine, and friends who valued me without keeping score. She'd been wrong about everything, and I'd been right about one thing. I didn't need her to prove myself. Here are the lessons I took from it. Lesson 1: public disrespect is not a bad moment. It's a window into what someone really thinks. Lesson 2: if a partner's family rushes to protect them but never checks on you, you're not part of their circle. You're just expected to comply. Lesson 3: sacrifice only works when it goes both ways. If you're the only one giving things up, it isn't compromise. Lesson 4: the fastest way to rebuild confidence is to keep promises to yourself. One decision, one step, then the next. Lesson 5: sometimes the thing you thought would break you is the thing that finally frees you. What would you have done if your spouse called you mediocre in front of their whole family? Would you have tried to patch it up, or would you have walked out like he did? And have you ever made a choice that looked risky at first, but ended up saving your life in the long run?